Well, good evening. My name is Professor Shaps, and I would like to welcome you to our class. I'm a very unique instructor in that I look primarily for competency, and not everybody is the best writer, and not everybody can come up with the right words to express the right concept. However, if you read my announcements and read the chapters and participate, you should do pretty good. Last session, I had 2 classes, and I would have to say that maybe 88%, how about that, received an A in the class. Why do you think they received an A? Because they followed directions. So let's get into this, and I'll kind of show you where we're at. And I'll also tell you what I expect. You know, if you go off in rogue and do your own thing, that's great. But, you know, if I ask you to do it this way and you do it this way, you're obviously going to be in sync with me, and, you know, that kind of results in better grades. All right, let's make this happen. That's me. Gosh, do I look old? So my name is Professor Shaps. I was in Marrakesh in this picture, and this was just last September. And so I look forward to meeting all of you, and on and on and on and on. And I hope you look forward to meeting me someday, but who knows? All right. I was the executive director of marketing for Universal Pictures for over 20 years. I did work on a bunch of movies doing the marketing, actually 400 feature films. I'm not sure you saw any of these because they're very obscure films, and most people, you know, out there never saw, you know, 300 of the films I worked on, like E.T. Who would watch E.T. or Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3, or Back to the Future 1, 2, or 3, or Schindler's List, The Grinch, and A Beautiful Mind? Who would go to those kinds of movies? But I did get an opportunity to work on them. And I worked with Steven Spielberg, who I know, and Ron Howard, who I know. And I've worked with well-known advertising agencies throughout the world. And after Universal, I became a marketing consultant for several companies. And those also included Universal Pictures. And I've also, let's see, in 2011, I worked for Southern New Hampshire University for a short period of time, and I wrote their consumer behavior class, which is the graduate class. You can see that Beautiful Mind, we won the Academy Award. This is kind of what I did, buying space and doing the budgeting, and you could see that I did get my name in the trades, and it was a beautiful night for a beautiful mind. So our class will focus on brand management and how marketing should be approached as a partner in strategic decision-making, both internally and externally. So that's a lot. And gosh, I don't even know how to understand that if I didn't read the book. But you're lucky enough to get me, and I'll just tell you what it means. So brand management, when we talk about a brand, we're talking about the company. So Nike, Apple, I don't know, Comcast, NBC, whatever. You know, it's really Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, BMW, Mercedes. And the product is what they sell. Now, a company like Walmart, they're more of a distributor, and they distribute products. not to say they don't make things themselves, but they're really well known for distribution. And here is a little known fact that most people are surprised when they hear. The one product that Walmart sells the most of in every one of their stores, get ready for this, drum roll, is bananas. They sell more. That's the #1 product in all Walmart stores, bananas. Well, there you go. You know, maybe it's because people don't just buy one banana. They buy a bunch of bananas. Okay. My daughter's name is Jana. We call her Jana Banana. And she likes that. She's 33 and we still call her Jana Banana. And when I say we, it's me and Elton. And Elton is my golden doodle. He's quite impressive. I just trained him to balance my checkbook. And by next year, he'll probably be doing my taxes. So when we talk about internal and external, internal is inside the company. When you do your SWOT analysis in your second milestone, week 5, when we talk about the strengths and the weaknesses, those are things that happen inside the company. You know, I get this, weaknesses. Well, we can't break into this market in Chile because it has nothing to do with outside the company. It has to do with like human resources that we have, our employee base is really low. We have bad morale. The executives, are on alcohol, anything like that. So external would be considered opportunities, and threats are kind of like other companies that threaten you or they block your entry into the market. So we will study strategy positioning. So when we talk about strategy, it's just like, what are we going to do? Okay, so there's this, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? And then we do it. There you go. I have a book that I've been working on, and it'll probably be out in maybe another year, called Timmy. And it's for the entrepreneur. It's time, ideas, money, and the one thing that everybody forgets, and that is implementation. And in this class, you will be expected to implement. Oh, hold on a second. I'm getting a message from outer space. Got it. So you will be expected to write your papers. Just so you know, the papers in weeks 3, 5, and 7, I'm guessing, those are 8 pages, 8 to 10 pages. You can write 30 pages. I can care less. But it's a minimum of 8, and every page you miss is like a deduction of 20 points or 10 points. I'm really serious about this stuff. I really expect you to follow the assignment directives. This is an MBA class. So, if I'm easy on the grading, it's because you followed the directives. That's the way it works. So, market opportunities, pricing strategies, we'll work on that. You're going to have a product. What are your strategies? Market analysis, you're going to analyze the market. You're going to look at your target, who you're going to sell to. Product differentiation. What are the differences in my product and the other person's product? SWOT analysis, you're going to look at that. And that's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You're going to look at the marketing mix, product, price, place, and promotion. You can remember that very easily when you get your MBA. And by the way, if you get an A in this class, you could come back to me after you get your MBA and I will give you a recommendation for a job or anything like that. Okay, and that's the deal. So that's something to work for. So marketing mix. Let's just say you got your MBA and you want to get a job and you're sitting and wondering, what do I do now? This is perfect. After you do a SWOT analysis on yourself and you know what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are. And remember, SWOT, the strengths and weaknesses happen within us and the opportunity and threats happen outside of us, if we're talking about us. So we're the product. How much money we want to make is the price. Where we want to work is the place. And how do we tell people we exist is the promotion. Now, that's basically what we're going to do with products. So if you remember this stuff, there's no way you can't remember it because you're going to be dealing with it a lot. This will all be covered, and we'll look at globalization, leadership, teamwork, and ethics. First week is when we deal with all of that stuff, your first paper. All right. I hope you're still with me. All right. So by the end of the session, you'll be expected to understand. I'm not going to read all this stuff. This PowerPoint will be in the class under an announcement. So let me tell you this now about the announcements. I will give you a ton of them, but there's a reason why I'm giving you a ton of them. I've taught the class for years and years, not just here, but at other schools. I've taught at Kettering, Davenport, DeVry, Independence, tons and tons and tons. I like to, I like to, when I was first starting, I like to go to different schools because I get to get an approach of kind of how they operate. Southern New Hampshire for me is probably the best. I really enjoy the people here. They're great. And so I'll let you read this later, but it's in your class as well. You're going to learn all this stuff. Now, I don't want you to freak out and say, well, what if I don't learn all this stuff? I'm not going to have another meeting and ask you to raise your hand and say, who didn't get it? It'll be obvious to me because by the end of the class, I will know who you are. And if you'll post your little picture and your little icon, it would really help me because then I can, when I start grading you, I could look at your name, like Andy, I would be able to see a picture. If you don't want to put your picture, put a dog, a moon or something that sort of represents you. And it really works for me because it just makes it simpler. Okay, I digress. The book, you got to read the book. Doesn't mean you have to read every page of the book. It's a great resource. You could read, if you need to know about brand strategy, go to brand strategy, read the paragraphs. And then if you don't want to read the examples, which is usually what follows, I'm okay with that. You're not going to be quizzed on, examples from the book. Late assignments. Okay. So late discussion board submissions will not be accepted for credit after the deadline. Okay, I know the school has this new policy on written assignments. So I think you can go up to 2 weeks on a written assignment. I don't recommend that because you go 2 weeks. So let's just say your first written assignment and you delay your paper for 2 weeks. That means in the 5th week, you have 2 papers due. And if you delay the other one, you are never going to catch up because you're not going to understand what's going on. For instance, for the first 2 weeks of this class, you're going to be getting the information you need to do your 3rd paper. And then in week 4, you're going to get, it's a group assignment. You'll get the information to do your week 5. So it's really, if you want to, take a look and see what the papers are going to look like, go ahead. I mean, I will give you information about that in a minute, but you may want to read ahead. It's okay with me. I would never know. So no matter what, if you're late, you'll get a penalty of like 10%, and then your paper will be graded. So, you know, if you have like an 80-point paper and I take 10% off the top, I mean, you got a C, you need a B to stay in the program, and you don't want to go in there. Okay. There is a codicil to that, an addendum to that, and that is if you are sick and you have an excuse from a doctor, if somebody in your family is, well, you can see right here, hospitalization, childbirth, major accident, injury, or bereavement, all right? And the final paper has to be done by the last day of the term. However, the paper that you're going to turn in is basically done. Because you're going to take weeks 3, 5, and 7, put them all together, put an executive summary. That's your final paper. More to come on that. I don't want you worrying about all this stuff. Okay, so week 1, again, you can read this. I don't want to go over it. It's also in the class. This is not true. This Kellogg's thing was another class. We don't want to talk about that. Oh, what does your paper look like? Okay, look. This right here is your title page. I would like your title page to look exactly like this. Not only am I going to just point it out, but I will give you a template with this on, and all you have to do is just change the stuff. Okay? So now you're in APA format, and I'll give you the table of contents, and then you're going to put in your page numbers. So when you get the template, you'll understand. You'll get that in the end of week 2. In-text citations are really important to me. And the reason for that is because if you write something really clever, I will actually track it back because I'm interested. Also, if you write something very clever and you have a high originality score, I will go back to see if you copied it. There is no cutting and pasting in this class. I would definitely ask you not to use quotes. There's no reason to. You're writing this paper for me. So once again, why would you use a quote if I'm asking you not to? I mean, it just like, I never understood this. I had a student in another class and she turned in a paper and it had 15 quotes in it. And I said, that's not your work. Oh, yes, it is. I copied it from here and put it over here. And look, I have an in-text citation. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. In fact, in-text citations really point me to where you got the idea to write. And I'm asking you to paraphrase rather than copy anything. Any copying, if you get a 35% non-original on your paper, it's going to go back to you ungraded. Okay, so there's your sources on formatted, and let's keep going. Okay, I am going to stop in a second right here, and I am going to ask if anybody has any questions. Could you type in any kinds of questions that you might have? Would somebody just type something in so I know you're alive? Will we have these Zoom meetings every week? No. But I will send out some video meetings that I previously did, and you can look at them. Is this helpful? Oh, Andy, let me just, oh, yes, it is. Okay, good. Thank you, Andy. Super duper. Oh, okay. Jocelyn, yes, very. This is great help. Okay, good. I want you to get an A. I'm not here to fail you. I absolutely, that is all I want to do. I want everybody to walk out of here with A's. I want you to give me like the greatest review in the world. I want to be here for you. I love this stuff. Okay, I've been doing it since Animal House. It's true, I worked on that too. So I'm here for you. I really am. And, you know, like I said, last session I had 60 students, 48 students, and they all did great. Yeah, and I got great letters from my students. 1 second. Elton. Okay, get there. Good one. Just wanted to see where he was. Okay, so let's have a little fun right now. It looks like everybody is on a computer, and here's what we're going to do. This is a follow the assignment kind of a test, and just follow the directions and see how you do, okay? Try an online magic trick. Are you ready? Take your finger and place it on any one of the circles that you see on your screen. You want to change it? Go ahead. If you're going to change it now. But now, hold your finger wherever it is and listen carefully to what I tell you. You should be on any one of the circles that you see on your screen. All right, now move your finger left or right to the nearest diamond. I'll wait a second for you. You got it there? Okay. Now I want you to move your finger up or down to the nearest circle. Okay, did you do that? Great. Now listen very carefully. I want you to move your finger diagonally to the nearest diamond. Okay, good. All right, and finally, move your finger left or right to the nearest circle. And I should have no idea where it arrived. All right, who got it? Type in if you got it. Okay, good deal. That means you know how to follow directions. Really important. Oh no, somebody got orange. Well, maybe it's orange in your, it's actually red, but you know what? Don't worry about it. Orange is close enough. Your final project guidelines, you know, I don't really know if I want to go through this right now. I kind of told you if you're going to use the, oh, okay, so this is what I want you to know. Okay, this is the important stuff. Let me go back one slide. Okay, so for the final project, actually every time you do a paper, you will develop a business plan, and you're really not, yeah, it's really not a business plan per se. It's a little bit of everything, okay? For the product or service or other business idea that you began conceptualizing in the previous MBA 515 class. Okay, but here's what I'm trying to tell you. If you use that product, you've already written a ton about it. And if it goes into this class, it's going to come up as self-plagiarism, which is not acceptable. So what I'm asking you to do is pick another product, and I'm telling you exactly you could work hard or you could work smart. And I'm telling you exactly what to do in order to make this the easiest assignment in the world. And when you start writing your paper, you're not going to be writing a contiguous paper. We're going to break it down into topics, and that'll make it really easy. And that we call chunking. It's not I call chunking, that I got from a guy named Tony Robbins. All right, and it works. And that's why everybody gets A's in my classes. It's not that I'm that easy of a grader. They get it. And they all come back later and say, oh my gosh, you know, I wish to gosh you were my instructor in, you know, some other classes. But this is what I like doing. I love marketing. I love being able to get a product and get you to buy it. All right. And I'm good at that. So the project content will be covered in all material in each module. So each module, you will get a little bit that you will need to write the papers. If needed, you may change your project idea in module 2. That's why this doesn't make sense to use your MBA 515 product. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I'm going to tell you again, I wouldn't do it. I would pick a big company like Coca-Cola or Amazon.com or, I don't know, something big. One of the students was talking about McDonald's and maybe doing a protein shake, or maybe another person was talking about a protein bar or something that the company, that the brand that they're working with doesn't, you know, currently have. So when we talk about brand, remember, we're branding the company. So Nike is a brand. McDonald's is a brand. Okay, CVS is a brand. And what they sell are products. So you're also going to create a unique product. So like, I know that in my last class, one of the students did BMW and they did a skateboard. Another person had Apple and they did a drone with a camera coming down, because Apple doesn't currently have that, but they do have an iPhone that could fit in the bottom of a drone, and they could sell that to you know, realtors to take overhead pictures and of you know, houses. My daughter just got her MBA last year in May, and she had the same class, and she asked me what she should do, and I said, what about an iPhone that takes pictures of everything in your drawer, jewelry and everything, and then can do like facial recognition and use it to do inventory. So imagine that it would be able to, if you look at Google has done that with Google Translate, you can actually point it up at a sign that is in another language and it will translate it for you. Another idea, okay? Unique, interesting. Keep it fun, all right? I don't want you to, oh, I gotta do an 8-page paper this week. Bummer. I want it to be exciting. Have fun with it, okay? You never know. Wouldn't it be crazy if you came up with an interesting idea and everybody said, this is fantastic, and you took it to the brand and they said, this is great, and I'm gonna give you $1 million for the idea? Who knows? Better yet, if you go for a job interview and they said, can we see some writing samples? Bing, here you go. You give them this marketing plan and they're gonna be so impressed, they're not gonna know about this stuff. Okay, that's why you're here and they're there. If you're going to use the product service, email me, okay? So I've had students say, I don't care, I'm gonna do it anyway. And then in week 3, they send me a letter saying, I'm sorry, is it too late for me to change the product? And I said, yeah. And let me tell you the problem they had. I must have had 16 emails every week. Well, where do I find this? Or where do I find that? This is a research class. I'm not gonna tell you where to find it. Have fun. Don't listen to me. Who knows? You know, it's like a little kid. You know, you tell the little kid, don't go out of the gate. And the first thing they do is they open the gate and they run out. Okay, so the easiest product, I had a slide at the beginning. Let me see where that would be. It's even better than this. We'll come back to slide 20. Did it go? Let's see if I can start it from here. I guess not. Okay, anyway. I can read it to you because I have it on my screen. Don't use a nonprofit. We did that. A brand is a company. Don't use a service-oriented company. Do select avoid a company that falls using a company with two. Oh, okay. So here's some examples. Focus on one company and one product. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Using a company with too many SBUs, which is strategic business units, will make you crazy. For example, Disney. How would you market all of Disney? They have about 100 million, different subsets. Like they have theme park, records, movies, television, plush animals, stores, television stations, cable things, this and that. Oh my gosh. So focus on one company and one product. For example, Coca-Cola, you would focus only, say, on soft drinks, or Nike, you would do shoes, or McDonald's, you would just do hamburgers, Disney, movies. So you're going to come up with a unique product. So what about this? Here's a couple of ideas. Coca-Cola, Coke flavored popsicles. That's kind of cool. Or Coke flavored yogurt. Yuck. Okay, avoid references older than 5 years, avoid quotes, and you'll use the template that I provide. You'll love the template. It's really, it's got everything you need in it pretty much. Okay, let's keep going. This is all the stuff, it's in your class that you'll be going through each week. You'll have a paper in week 3. You'll have a paper in week 5. You'll have a paper in week 7. Your final paper will be due in week 9. Core competencies, just so you know, here's one of those little tips and hints, and everybody's going to get this wrong, but you're going to get it right. Core competencies actually come from your strengths. So when you do your SWOT analysis and you do like 4 or 5 or 8 different strengths, just pick 2 that are the strongest, and those are your core, or 4, those are your core competencies, okay? So everybody gets that wrong right here. How about that for a tip? You probably just saved yourself 20 points, maybe 10. Who cares? Just know that it's coming from me. Okay, refinement, corporate marketing strategy. Okay, so each week before you do the paper, you'll learn about the information you need to do the paper. So when we get to week, your strengths and weaknesses, this is going to be a group discussion, and then you'll use some of that information in here. I don't even remember. I mean, it's like a blur to me after a while. Okay, submitted work must be full APA format. If you don't know, contact the library or find somebody who does know APA format. Don't reduce the margins in order to make the paper longer. Minimum 5 references per paper is average. Every reference must have an APA formatted in-text citation. So if you just have like Ralph, that's not going to work. You need to have Ralph, comma, 2013. And then in the references, the first note before the reference is Ralph, 2013. Okay. Oh, here's like close-up of the paper. The template available for download and announcements. That'll be in a couple weeks. Okay, so this will all be done for you. All you have to do is put your name in, course number, the due date, and me. But I think it's all, most of it's filled out except your name. And then that's the way the paper will look. And this is your milestone 1, context need. So the milestone establishes your chosen organization. You're going to talk about the purpose of the marketplace and consumer trends and all of this stuff. You'll be able to, there's hundreds of references on Google and Amazon and YouTube and whatever, and in your book. The milestone establishes how the organization will differentiate itself from its competition. So how does Coke differentiate itself from Pepsi? That's the brand. But then, does Pepsi have a popsicle? I like that. Pepsi's Popsicle. That'd be a good name for a store. Pepsi's Popsicle. Huh, it's better than Meshuggah popsicles. Okay, this milestone will be graded with the milestone 1 rubric. Okay, what's a peer review, resource? Let's just take a quick look and see.
Oriole explains what peer review means. During the essay crunch, where you get piles of assignments, you might get an essay assignment that asks for peer-reviewed articles only for your sources. You may wonder, what's the difference and why are these articles important? Peer-reviewed articles are generally articles that have been reviewed in detail by scholars in the same field. But how does a peer review article get published in a scholarly journal? Well, your professors do more than just teach. They also play the role of a researcher and often must produce new research. Their research can vary depending on their field, from physics to the study of the human body, or the economy to philosophical ponderings of Socrates, and can be published in a book or journal. Some of this research requires funding. Once the professor or professors, some do work together, have findings and interpret the results, they can produce a paper for submission. Scholarly research can take several years and is a long process. Once the paper is written, the researchers or your professors will send it to a journal that undergoes the peer review process. Please keep in mind, not every journal has a peer review process. The editor reviews the submission and ensures that it fits the journal's scope or topic area. If it does, the editor sends out copies to other scholars in the field. These scholars are experts in the subject and have already published their own work. These scholars are also the peer reviewers. It is important to note that you may hear the term referee, which is another way of saying peer reviewer. When the scholars are reviewing the article, the major questions that they ask are, is the research new and interesting to scholars in the field? Are there mistakes in the results or writing? Does the research and results make sense? The reviewers send their notes back to the editor, and the editor decides if the paper should be published in the journal. If it is accepted, the editor will send back an article with corrections and notes that the researcher must make changes to. Most articles are rejected by prominent journals, so the process of review is quite tough. Once the article is published in a journal, a library that pays for a subscription to the journal may receive the most recent publication. If you need more help in understanding peer review,
well, they said, what do professors do besides teaching and reading articles and sending them out? I play the guitar and I talk too much. That's what I do. And there's nobody out there that cares about that. All right, so we're pretty much done. I do want to take questions, and I am going to stop the recording.